I have not seen an analysis or been able to contemplate one which explains this, other than I think the Republican leadership was just like, we're gonna lose one way or another. This is not going to be good, and this is the best way to go down. And last night, Paul Ryan was on with Tucker Carlson, who is vying to be perceived as less, is comparing his whiteness to Jorge Ramos. We'll cover that later in the program. But I just want you to, if you're watching this, and if you're not, you could probably hear it in Paul Ryan's voice, and you'll also hear him pretend that this is too complicated for people to understand. Here is Tucker Carlson basically saying, hey, and Mike Consul has a great piece on this. The problem the Republicans have is they attacked the Affordable Care Act from the left, right? It didn't insure enough people. It was too expensive in terms of premiums. It was too expensive in out-of-pocket costs. And those three things, all critiques from the left. And maybe the critique was like, you're enriching insurance companies. All critiques from the left. The critiques from the right are, we don't believe the government should be in the business of ensuring that people have health care. And everything they're doing to ensure it is causing it to be too expensive, and the market can take care of it. That's the argument from the right. But they made an argument from the left, and now they're rolling out a health plan that is like sort of from the right. They're trying to split the difference, and all they're getting, I think we said this before, is the worst parts for everybody about the Affordable Care Act, short of course, cutting taxes. Here is Paul Ryan trying to make that play. But look at the look on his face where he's like, what can you do?
Kind of a hard sell to say, yeah, we're going to repeal Obamacare, but we're going to send more money to the people who've already gotten the richest over the last 10 years. I mean, that's what this does, no? I'm not a leftist. It's just that's true.
I'm not that concerned about it because we said we were going to repeal all the Obamacare taxes. This is one of the Obamacare taxes. The other point I'd say is it's dramatic.
Do you remember Donald Trump getting up there when he was talking about how bad Obamacare was? That the first thing that he was talking about, we're going to repeal the Obamacare taxes for people making over $250,000 a year. And
he literally never said
capital gains taxes. In fact, I think you could not find a single Republican who said that in a public forum, short of like in the rotunda to some reporters from, the Hill.
That's what this does, no? I'm not a leftist. It's just that's true.
I'm not that concerned about it because we said we were going to repeal all the Obamacare taxes. This is one of the Obamacare taxes. The other point I'd say is this dramatically helps us toward tax reform. I know it gets a little wonky, but by getting rid of the Obamacare.
Now, here he is saying, like, look, I want to skip that part about, I don't want to sit here and brag about cutting taxes on the wealthiest people in the country. What I want to do is pretend that what I'm going to say is too complicated for people to understand because I don't really get it myself. But if I start talking about it and tell you that it's wonky, it's okay for people to tune out. I mean, this is actually a very old, I don't know if he's doing it consciously or not, but it's a dramatic technique. You can have a character do anything as long as other people react to it in a way that the audience is. So when he says this is wonky, he doesn't have to explain it and he doesn't have to make any sense because other people are just going like, oh, I assume I don't get what he's talking about.
But by getting rid of the Obamacare taxes, the next bill coming up this spring and summer is tax reform. And that means the new tax code that we're proposing, we put this in our Better Way plan too. It's a part of our blueprint. Go online and read that as well. That will not have to overcome those Obamacare taxes, meaning when we have a new replacement tax code to gut and replace this tax code, it won't have to also replace the Obamacare taxes. So by getting rid of all these taxes.
So the look on Tucker Carlson's face is like, what, how are you saying this? Because all Paul Ryan is saying is we do these tax cuts now. And then when we have tax cuts later, we won't be doing it all at the same time. That way we won't be accused of having too many tax cuts because we're doing some now and we're doing some later.
Also replace the Obamacare taxes. So by
Right.
getting rid of all these taxes, we're lowering the revenue that is taken out of the American economy, out of families, out of businesses for the government. And we think that's really important.
Let me just rephrase what he just said. Not even rephrase. Let me repeat it. We're taking the revenue that is taken out of the economy and out of businesses for the American public. Let's play that again. Because for someone who was just prefaced, like this gets wonky, what he just said is the way that someone who doesn't know what he's talking about would articulate it. Good.
The Obamacare taxes. So
Right.
by getting rid of all these taxes, we're lowering the revenue that is taken out of the American economy, out of families, out of businesses for the government. And we think that's really important.
That's not revenue, what he's talking about. But you don't take revenue out of the economy. That's like...
Gets a little wonky, Sam.
It's a little bit wonky.
It gets a little wonky in the sense that I'm just going to pontificate and blather and talk nonsense to justify giving rich people more money.
All right.
Tucker Carlson's face, that his thoughtful face, is always extremely confused frat boy.
Exactly.
face.
Somewhat panicked. Hey, everybody. Sam Seder here.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. Believe me. It's true.
It is true. And you can subscribe to this channel by subscribing to this channel. It's true.